Um, I was inspired by the sun and how they would use different pigments to paint their lifestyle on walls. Their support was the rock, and now in the contemporary world, our support is the canvas and sometimes paper. But from there, they didn't have lots of. Their palette was very limited. It's either they used black, which they got from charcoal, or reds from soils or blood. So that got me to say, you know what, the more I experiment, the more I look for more colors, probably the more I can expand the palette from what the Bushmen used to work with. And also the way they preserve these pigments, they would use fat also to mix them with the different pigments so that they would last longer on the rocks. But now in the contemporary world, we are now using canvas, and it has got its ways of holding paint and all that. We have linseed oils that are used. We have got liquid, we've got turpentines that are used to just make sure that the paints flow well on canvas. But with my pigments, I haven't experimented with linseed oil. I'm still working to see how it would work well and use linseed oil as a vehicle. So it's still an experiment, and this is where the inspiration has come from the Bushmen and how they would work with their pigments. Also, I've been inspired by the landscape in the fauna and the flora of the Zimbabwean landscape. Like for example, in spring, you have different flowers in bloom, and I say let me use this palette and see how it will work on canvas. You find there's the ragworts. They come in bloom. They're very yellow and bright. You have the jacarandas. You have the teak, which the teak flowers, which are very nice and purple. So all these, working with them, I say let me see how it would work and see what palette I could acquire from these. However, the more you use even the color that you see, suppose a flower is purple, you would think it will give you that same effect on watercolor paper, but the result might be very different. It could be an ugly gray color. So there's a lot of experimentation that needs to be done on how I could really acquire different, like pinks and purples. They are more like related. And from blues and reds, from berries that you also find around. It's all those things that I still need to experiment. And so far there's been so many surprises that I would get. One color that I would think I would get from a red rose, for example, is totally different from what I would get when I use it on paper. Like for example, a red rose, if you apply it on watercolor paper, you get a purple pigment, and you think you'd get red from those. Rather, red you get it actually from mulberries that are not yet fully ripe, that are not yet like black or purpley, and then that's where you would get a red. So it's a lot, and it's exciting, and I'm learning. It's like I'm trying to get to understand the behaviors of these different flowers as far as the organic pigments are concerned. With soils, it's a different story altogether. What you see is what you get. It's a matter of now how to preserve them so that they remain as they are. So that's basically where I got the inspiration from the Bushmen, and see how far I could then extend the palette. Because ever since from the sun, there's been like a huge gap which has been silent. No one has been experimenting with natural pigments. It was just when now what we call contemporary art, it's like after colonization, then the Westerners came with their art materials which they use, and then they introduced us to those, and we just started to use them. And I just want to go back in time and see how we can start. It's like picking off from where our forefathers left, and see now how I can then push on those. So if there is anything that will push me, it is that inspiration, and see what nature is surrounding us with and all those colors, so that I just then start to use them and experiment with them to extend my palette, which I'm yet to name.